Hey guys, Kurt Hughes here with Ignite Baseball. Today I wanted to talk about results and how they come, what's typical, and what to really expect in a hitting lesson or a group training environment. So a lot of times what people expect is that when they change the way that they swing, they expect to be able to instantly translate that into them hitting the ball harder and further. And that does happen sometimes, but it's not the norm. So usually when mechanical patterns change, your brain needs time to be able to make that mechanical pattern become faster and faster. So your brain has these things called myelin in it. If you're like a scientist watching this, then I may be like making some mistakes about how I talk about this. I'm not a neurologist, but essentially the way myelin works is it's pathways for your brain to be able to get back to certain movement patterns. This is for hitting, it's for movement patterns, but really it's for any task that you're trying to accomplish. So it's pathways that your brain uses for your body to be able to get back to a specific thing. So in hitting, think about it like when you, well, actually, let's talk about it a little differently. So let's imagine that, the myelin is kind of like a NASCAR race almost, right? So the first time that your body does something, there isn't like the track is like really, really rough and it's really bumpy. So the car kind of has to go like slow around the track. And then every time that you do it and you keep doing it and doing it and doing it, the path gets smoother and smoother so you can go faster and faster. And that's essentially how myelin works. So if you just change your movement quality but the speed of your rotation doesn't increase, then you won't hit it harder. So many times what ends up happening is we change the mechanical pattern, we rep it out over and over and over and over again, and then usually the athlete goes home, and works on it for like the week. Sorry, I gotta get my coffee. They go home and work on it for the week, and they come back and they're a little smoother at their pattern. Assuming they haven't like introduced any more like mechanical flaws. Usually when we let them hit, they go up, 2 or 3 miles an hour and hit the ball further. And that's usually like the first little jump, and then, depending on how inefficient the swing was before they got to me, that usually dictates, how big the jump is. Obviously, if a hitter comes in and they have a swing that's really, really inefficient, then that jump can be anywhere from, like 8 to 12 miles an hour, which is a huge jump for a hitter. And usually when hitters have a really inefficient swing and it's not performing the way they want to at all, then the jumps are way bigger, like I just said, but also the jumps can become quicker because if you're just not being efficient at all, and I change the way that you sequence your body, and even if you move slower, a lot of times that can introduce a jump if your previous mechanical pattern was really just not good. So there's a lot of factors that play into, when results happen, how fast results happen. Obviously every time that someone comes in and like within, the first or second time working with him or her, we're able to see like a big jump. Obviously I get really excited about that. The hitter gets really excited about that, but that's a thing. And, usually that's something that, a hitting instructor might like tweet about, or they'll put an Instagram thing up, or like a YouTube video like I'm doing right now. But many times that's not the thing that happens all the time. It really depends on how inefficient the swing is previously. So if the swing's pretty good when they come in, it's going to take them a couple weeks to be able to increase in velocity based on their change in movement. Now, there's other people that come in. I haven't had this happen a ton. There's other people that come in that have really, really efficient swings. And if you hit the ball super hard already, and you're really interacting with the ground in a way that generates a ton of force, then we're not going to be able to, like, you know, do something magic and make you hit the ball harder. Like, your gains in how hard you hit the ball is going to be proportional to your strength gains over the time and just your overall athleticism. So how hard you hit the ball is really force equal to mass times acceleration, right? So we can, with some mechanical changes, we can manipulate how fast you swing a little bit and the amount of body weight that you swing with quite a bit. But if you already swing with a lot of body weight and you're already swinging fast and you come in like for a lesson, then the main thing that I can help you with is barrel accuracy and not as much force. I mean, I'm not a magician. If you're a really, really good hitter and hit the ball super far already, then the value that I provide to you, it isn't, let's go up in distance. But what it can be is, okay, like, let's try to get our hard hit average up much higher, which, if you don't know what that is, in HitTrax, that's basically with, it's a tracker of how many or how often you hit balls within 10% of your max exit velocity. So let's say that the max that you hit the ball is 80. Every ball that you hit over 72 is considered a hard hit ball, and that will contribute to your hard hit average, which is figured out as a percentage or decimal, whatever you're looking at. I think it's a decimal on the thing. So if you hit 70% of your balls over 72 miles an hour, then you have a 70 or a 0.7 hard hit average. So that's basically how that works. But so there's a lot of different ways that we can, like, improve the swing, and the main one that we deal with right off the jump is making kids more efficient so they can hit the ball harder. But then once that part's figured out, it becomes being more accurate, and then it becomes game ready. So I wanted you to think about the way that results are talked about, and also understanding realistic expectations for your son or daughter, because a lot of times what ends up happening is people think that the results are going to be just proportional to the amount of lessons they've had. Like, okay, like, I've had 10 lessons, so that's going to make me better. And that's not necessarily true, because one, if you've done 10 lessons and your son or daughter isn't working at home, then there's nothing that I can do that'll actually work. 40 minutes a week is not even close to enough to be able to become good at this stuff. Two, if your kid is already like a really good hitter and hits the ball for their body weight and for their and for their athletic ability, hits the ball around the top end of that, then the results won't be velocity and distance results, they'll be accuracy results. So understand all that stuff when you're going into it. And a lot of times people think that it's like just a linear thing, like, as the weeks go by, if my kid continues to work, it's going to, I'm going to get better and better. But it really works more like stairs. So, like, if you're looking at like an X and Y axis, right? So here's Y, right, which is how good your kid is, and here's X, which is time, right? Really, the graph is going to be like stairs. So it's going to be like your kid is working, he or she doesn't seem like they're getting better, and then time goes by, let's say a week goes by, and then boop, they get better. And then your kid's working, doesn't seem like they're getting better. 2 weeks go by, boop, they get better. So that's how it usually works. So there's a lot of like time where it doesn't seem like you're progressing very much, and you just have to be okay with that as a parent and as a player, and know that coming in, that the work that you put in is not in direct proportion to the results you get. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to work to get better.